Hello and welcome to another OakieVision Senior Spotlight. This is Ryan Barnett, Sports Information Director here at Menlo College. My guest this week is recent Menlo College graduate and Menlo College wrestler, standout wrestler, I should say, Angela Peralta. Thanks so much for joining me this week, Angela, and congrats on the recent graduation.
Thanks for having me, Ryan. And
Of course, of course. We're excited to have you here. So let's get started. Just letting the fans know a little bit about yourself. Like so many Menlo College former and current student athletes, you hail from Hawaii. Uh, Now, I like to ask a lot of our students who come from Hawaii, uh, did you know much about Menlo College prior to coming to campus? Did you have any friends who had attended the school, or was your first knowledge of the school being recruited to come wrestle here?
so my first knowledge of the school was, I think, my junior year after my state finals match. Coach Barang was actually there, and then he just gave me his card. And because I wasn't a senior, I wasn't like being recruited directly, but I was about to be. If that makes sense. And when I went on my visit, my senior year of high school, I actually saw Ali'i Young, and I didn't realize she went there to Menlo. And I know her from wrestling in Hawaii. She's pretty popular. Also, I didn't realize that Blason Tarantino was there, and I've known him like my entire life. And I actually live like kind of down the road from him, so I had no idea that he was there until I came on my visit.
All right, so a happy coincidence, maybe not knowing that these people attended Menlo, but getting to see them around campus, that first impression of campus. Now, you talked a little bit about Coach Barang being at your state matches when you were in high school. Of course, Coach Barang hails from Hawaii. A lot of Menlo College wrestlers, both men's and women's wrestlers coming from Hawaii as well. Would you say having that familiarity, especially with no women's wrestling programs in the state of Hawaii, sort of helped lead you to making the decision to come to Menlo?
I think that it definitely did make the decision a lot easier because I feel like I had a lot of people I could relate to. Like, there's a large Hawaii population at Menlo, definitely. And I feel that everyone from Hawaii has like an unspoken bond, kind of, and like we're all family. Like, coming from a little island to the mainland, we're all sticking together.
Of course, of course. And you seem to fit right in and get very comfortable starting in your freshman year. You had a really big freshman year. In fact, you had the second most wins amongst anyone on the roster. You won 26 of your 39 bouts. Um, you also went to nationals and placed fifth, earning All-American status as just a freshman. So, bravo to you there. And then came back, and to culminate your year, you were named the Menlo College Female Freshman Athlete of the Year. Now, coming into your freshman season, did you expect to reach these heights as early as the end of your freshman year? Or do you think you just got to campus and with the coaching staff were really able to excel and maybe untap something that you hadn't reached in your athletic career that far?
Honestly, like, looking back at my freshman year, I didn't even realize how many matches I was wrestling in until like at the end of the year we had to tally up our matches, and I was like, wow, this is a lot of wrestling. Oh my gosh. And it was a surprise to me when I won the freshman of the year. Like, I honestly had no idea I was gonna win. I didn't think I was going to at all. So it was really nice surprise. And definitely I would say that what was it? At nationals my freshman year, that was definitely my best performance out of the whole season. I feel like it's because I had my parents there, and I've always had them there at all my tournaments. So I felt like, how do I explain this? During my freshman season of college, when they obviously weren't there to be at my tournaments, I wrestled a lot differently. And at nationals, something, I guess, clicked in me, and I just started wrestling really good. I don't know if that makes sense.
Understandable, understandable. Yes, and yeah, to say you wrestled well in that tournament is a complete understatement altogether. As we said, All American your freshman year. So hats off to you. So now in going into your sophomore season, this is when the magic really started happening for Menlo College women's wrestling as a team. You guys returned a ton of stellar athletes, yourself included, also Precious Bell, Solon Piercy, Iman Kazem, Hiba Salem. And then you bring in two of the most highly touted freshman women's wrestling recruits in the country in the forms of Gracie Figueroa and Aleda Martinez. And this would lead to you guys winning the first two national titles, not just in program history, but actually in Menlo College school history for any athletic program. Take me back to the start of that 2018-2019 season. When you guys first all came together, had your first team practice, saw each other wrestling, do you think you guys were really destined to win that national title?
I definitely do feel that we were destined to win the national title. Gracie and Aleda were definitely great additions to the team, and I feel like they're what we needed to take the team to the top. And the current roster that we had prior to them, like Hiba, Iman, Solon, Precious, in addition to Gracie and Aleda, it just felt like we were such, for lack of a better term, badasses. Like at dual meets, I remember we went against, I think, like the second ranked team in the nation or first. I'm not sure which one it was. But in that dual meet, everyone like crushed it. And I was like, wow, this is a really great feeling to have to be wrestling alongside all these great wrestlers and performing in addition to that, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, essentially you guys had built a super team. That I think I'm recalling that duel you're referencing. It was against Emmanuel College from Georgia, and yeah, they were the number 2 team in the country. You guys were number 1 at the time, and it wasn't even close. I mean, you guys were dominant, and it was really a pleasure to watch all of you guys out there wrestling. Now, flash forward to 2019-20. You know, you guys are out there looking to defend that national title. By my count, you only wrestled 3 times that year, all 3 times coming in the Cascade Conference tournament, where you would win your bracket and help the Oaks to their first Cascade women's wrestling title. It was the first year the tournament was held. So was that by design that you weren't wrestling up until postseason and just in preparations for nationals?
I wouldn't say by design, but more out of necessity. So actually, like a week before our first dual meet of the season, I actually dislocated my shoulder completely. And so I have pretty bad shoulders, and usually whenever they dislocate, they just go right in on their own. However, this time it was a lot different. I was actually wrestling Solin, and I stuck my arm out just straight, and all she did was this, and my whole shoulder just collapsed, and I was just on the floor, like stuck. And so Michelle had to get Rob, the head trainer, and it was not fun. So it wasn't by choice that I wrestled only those 3 bouts. It was I literally couldn't compete. Yeah.
Understood. You know, that's why I wanted to ask you. We don't get necessarily the inside scoop here for the fans. So good to know. But, you know, in your 3 opportunities, you were absolutely dominant in winning that Cascade title. Now, I know this one's going to be difficult, but let's go back to nationals. Of course, you guys did travel and found out the day before, I believe, the tournament that the plug had been pulled. Now, I've talked to Coach Barang about this on multiple occasions, and we keep coming back to the same subject of how much he lauded his upperclassmen like yourself for staying poised and composed in such a devastating situation. Talk to me a little bit. Take me through how, you know, you were able to handle that situation, maybe some of the emotions that we're going through, but how you were able to stay composed and in the moment there.
So we found out the day before we were supposed to wrestle, and I was actually putting on my sweats, ready to run because I had to lose some weight. And then my teammates were like, "Wait, nationals is canceled," and we're like, "What? What are you talking about? What? That's not possible." And then we had like an emergency team meeting in the hotel room, and then the whole atmosphere was like kind of dark and sad. It's like, whoa, this is like really happening right now. And I think that it affected the seniors at the time the most, like Marilyn Garcia, Solon, Precious. I remember after our team meeting was done, they were just holding each other, like sobbing. And I was like, my heart hurt so bad for them because it was their senior year and we're at nationals. Like we're supposed to wrestle the next day. And to have that taken away from you when you're in that mindset of like ready to wrestle, ready to go, it was definitely hard. Like looking at from their perspective, it's definitely tough. And seeing them go through that was really hard for us also. It was really sad.
Of course, but it seems that all three of those, Precious, Marilyn, Celine, have continued to wrestle now post their collegiate career and continue to have great success. But understandable that that is just such a difficult situation to not have that opportunity, being there, being one day out. So thank you for walking us through that and from your experience, how that went down. Now, unfortunately, you guys were unable to compete this season as well, but I'm sure the team still turned to you as a senior at the time and a mentorship figure. What are some of the roles you've played this year, not being able to compete, but maybe mentoring some of your younger teammates?
So because of COVID, I returned back to home in Hawaii, and during that time, I got to hang out a lot more with my Hawaii teammates, like my teammate Alana Vivas, Taryn Ichimura, and Tiana Fernandez. And we didn't necessarily like practice or anything. Just we just spent time together, and it was really nice being with my teammates during that tough period where there's no wrestling. I was just kind of like, what do I do now? Because wrestling has been a part of my life for so long. And to have my teammates and my friends with me, it definitely made it a lot easier. I'm not sure if I like was a mentor to them. I felt like just more of like a friend to them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and with a difficult situation like that, sometimes I feel like that's all your teammates need is someone to be there, someone who's been there as well in the forms of Alana and Tiana, who are both underclassmen still. They were just coming off of their freshman seasons versus someone like you or Taryn, who, both seniors and had been there, just an ear to listen and someone if they have questions on, what they missed out on, that you're able to get them ready for what to expect when they're able to hit the mats again. Last question for you, Angela. Menlo College women's wrestling, Coach Barang bringing in a very large, talented recruiting class, again, as is customary with the program. So I just want to know what your words of wisdom are for this incoming class and for future Oaks after your experience at Menlo College.
I would say to not lose track of why you're at Menlo. I mean, it's great to have friends and everything, like that's important, but ultimately you're there to compete and excel in wrestling. And I know for me, going into my freshman year of college, in high school, I was doing really well in wrestling and everything. And when I got to Menlo, I feel like I kind of went off track. I wasn't focusing on things that I needed to be focusing on. And I feel like that affected my wrestling during the season itself. And going back to the previous question of like nationals, my sophomore year or my freshman year, having my parents there kind of took me back to like, okay, wait, this is what I need to be focusing on. And I'd say always try your best at practices and tournaments because you'll never get those days back. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't make it up, you know? And definitely make the most of every single opportunity. Definitely. Yes.
Wise words indeed. Well, I want to thank you for your time, Angela, and thank you for joining us here on OakieVision.
Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Absolutely. And fans, stay tuned. We'll be back week by week featuring another senior in this senior spotlight series here on OakieVision, where we keep your finger on the pulse of everything going on in Menlo College athletics. Thanks so much for tuning in and have a great week.